Hey everybody, it is I, Mr. Aaron, returning once again for some more fabulous reading. Now today's book is pretty darn cool. It's called The Giant Germ, and it is from a series that you may have seen on television, perhaps. I'm going to give you guys a chance to try and guess what series it is. So, I'm going to give you a hint, right? And here's the hint. I really hope this is a normal field trip. With the frizz? No way! Have you guys figured out what the series is yet? If you guessed The Magic School Bus, then you are correct. Because that is indeed the series that this book comes from. The Giant Germ from The Magic School Bus. Now, I've been having some internet issues today, so hopefully everything is coming through clearly on your end. If it's not, if there's some kind of problem, please let me know in the comments so I can fiddle with stuff on my end and hopefully get it working better. But I think I got it taken care of, but this morning I was having some issues, so anyway, just thought I'd let you guys know. So we are going to begin The Magic School Bus. Oh, one thing before I start, I'm going to let you guys know. There's some things in this book, like from the desk of Miss Frizzle, or like little assignments that the kids have written. And so occasionally we'll be stopping to read those along the way. So anyway, I didn't want you guys to get confused by that, so that's what those are. Introduction. My name is Keisha. I'm one of the kids in Miss Frizzle's class. Maybe you've heard of Miss Frizzle. Sometimes we just call her the Frizz. She's a terrific teacher, but a little strange. One of her favorite subjects is science, and she knows everything about it. She takes us on lots of field trips in the Magic School Bus. Believe me, it's not called magic for nothing. We never know what's going to happen when we get on that bus. Miss Frizzle likes to surprise us, but we can usually tell when she's planning a special lesson. We just look at what she's wearing. Not long ago, Miss Frizzle showed up wearing this outfit. I didn't have a clue what kind of weird creatures were on her dress, but I had a funny feeling we were going to find out. Was I ever right? Let me tell you what happened. And there is the dress that Keisha's talking about. Chapter 1. All right! Ralphie waved his lunch bag and ran outside to the playground. This is great, said Wanda. A picnic! None of us had been expecting Miss Frizzle to take us outside for lunch. One minute we were in our classroom, ready to start our new science unit. The next, the Frizz was taking us out to the picnic yard. It just goes to show you, with Miss Frizzle around, you should always expect the unexpected. I wasn't going to complain. I love picnics. And the weather was perfect. Warm and sunny with a clear blue sky. I feel lucky today, I said. Oh, the only kind of luck I ever have is bad luck, Arnold complained. Not always, insisted Dorothy Ann. We usually just call her D.A. She smiled into the sunshine as she sat down and began peeling her orange. You're in Miss Frizzle's class, aren't you? Arnold threw up his hands. I rest my case. I've got tuna fish. What about you, Keisha? Tim asked. I didn't even have to look in my lunch bag. I already knew exactly what was inside. Peanut butter and honey on my mom's homemade bread, I said. My favorite. My mouth started watering, but when I took the sandwich from its wrapper, I saw some fuzzy blue-green spots on the bread. Ew! What is that? I asked. Suddenly, I didn't feel so lucky anymore. Just looking at those spots made my stomach churn. Ugh. But Miss Frizzle's face lit up like a Christmas tree. That, Keisha, is one of the many miracles of microbes, she announced. Huh? It just looks like mold to me, said Carlos. Well, there's more to mold than meets the eye, Carlos. Lots more, Miss Frizzle said. Each one of those spots of mold is actually made up of millions of tiny microbes. Microbes? What are they? Tim asked. D.A. flipped open her library book on microbes. She'd brought it outside with her lunch. I think I can answer that. According to this, microbes are teeny tiny living creatures. They're too small to be seen without a microscope, she said. Millions of microbes have to band together in order to be visible to the naked eye. Quite right. There's power in numbers, Dorothy Ann, said the Frizz, and microbes certainly have the numbers on their side. There are more microbes than any other living creature on Earth, and they're everywhere. From the desk of Miss Frizzle. Microbes passed the test of time. Microbes have been on Earth for at least 3.5 billion years. That's longer than plants, dinosaurs, or any other living thing on the planet. And it's a lot longer than people have been around. Human beings didn't appear until just 2 million years ago. Because microbes were the first life forms on our planet, they're at the bottom of the food chain that feeds all life on Earth. So that was from the desk of Miss Frizzle. At this very moment, microbes are floating in the air around us, Miss Frizzle went on. They're on our skin and teeth, inside our bodies, in the soil, in the food we eat, and on everything we touch. Every time you put a foot on the ground, you're stepping on billions of microbes. Arnold looked around nervously. I am? Oh, I think I'm going to be sick. Some microbes can make us sick, Miss Frizzle admitted, like viruses that cause the chicken pox and bacteria that cause strep throat. Or when bacteria break through the tooth enamel and cause tooth decay, D.A. added. Ralphie ran his tongue across his teeth. Oh, so that's how I got my cavity, he said. Oh, this was more than I wanted to know. I just wanted to eat my lunch, but it was moldy with microbes. What about my sandwich? I asked. All of a sudden, Miss Frizzle got a special twinkle in her eye, the same one we see whenever she's thinking of a far-out field trip. Excellent question, Keisha, she said. Class, it's time we got up close and personal with microbes. To the bus! Miss Frizzle jumped to her feet and headed for the magic school bus. The next thing we knew, we were all inside the bus with her. I must have dropped my sandwich in the rush, because when I looked out the window, I saw it lying on the ground next to the picnic table. Buckle up, everyone, said Miss Frizzle. She got behind the wheel and pushed some buttons on the dashboard. The bus got smaller and smaller, and so did we. Soon we were no larger than a particle of dust. Oh, I guess you have to be microscopic if you want to mix with microbes, said Tim. You said it! Miss Frizzle hit the gas pedal, and the bus shot up into the air. Next stop, Keisha's sandwich! Oh, and here we have an assignment. Now that's small, by Phoebe. We say that something is microscopic when it is too small to be seen without the use of a microphone. Microscope. Oh, thanks, Chuck. Thank you. We appreciate that. Chapter 2. The magic school bus flew through the air. Now that we were so tiny, we could see all kinds of creatures floating around us. Some looked like round balls, and others were shaped like rods or spirals. Are those microbes? Arnold asked. He looked as if he was afraid to breathe. Will they make us sick? Not all microbes make us sick, said the Frizz. The few that do have given all microbes a bad name. Most people don't know that microbes do a lot more good than harm. You mean a good microbe isn't hard to find? Carlos said. Not at all, the Frizz answered. Oh, and we have another assignment. Microbes Help Out by Wanda. Microbes may be small, but they help in big ways. The yeast that make bread rise are microbes. A lot of the oxygen we breathe is produced by microscopic algae. Fungi are used to make cheese. They're what put the blue in blue cheese. And different kinds of bacteria are used to make yogurt. Microbes are used to make medicines that keep us healthy, and they even clean nuclear waste. So hooray for microbes! Microbes come in all different sizes, shapes, and colors, Miss Frizzle told us. She pulled out a poster from the glove compartment and unrolled it. It listed the 5 most common types of microbes: bacteria, fungi, algae, protozoa, and viruses. And there is the poster. I couldn't believe all the funny-looking shapes. These are just a few examples of microbes, the Frizz explained. Within each category, there are many more kinds of microbes. Some are made up of just one cell, like the bacteria that we see in the air. Others are made of more than one cell, but are still too tiny to see without a microscope. Like the fungi that make up bread mold, D.A. said. Speaking of bread mold, Miss Frizzle turned the wheel, and the magic school bus zoomed down toward the playground. I saw my sandwich on the ground next to the picnic table. The closer we flew, the bigger it looked. The mold was like a huge forest next to a sandy beach of bread. Miss Frizzle aimed the bus at one of the spots of mold, and we plunged right in. Yuck! I definitely wasn't hungry anymore. After we landed, Miss Frizzle handed out rubber boots and safety helmets. Then we all jumped off the magic school bus right onto the surface of the bread. It was spongy and tricky to walk on. The air holes in my bread were like big craters. "Wow," said D.A. "This is mold?" It looked more like a forest to me. We were surrounded by tall, smooth, tree-like stalks. Each stalk blossomed into a cluster of smaller branches at the top. There were so many, I couldn't begin to count them all. "Yes, indeed, fabulous fungi as far as the eye can see," Miss Frizzle announced, looking at the fungi with a smile. "But what are the fungi doing here?" Phoebe asked. We have an assignment from Carlos. Can you see the fungus among us? If you can, it isn't a microbe. Most fungi are microscopic, but some are larger, like the mushrooms that we find in forests or lichens that grow on trees and fallen logs. Once a single fungus is big enough to see with the naked eye, it isn't called a microbe anymore. One type of fungus, called Armillaria bulbosa, grows to be very big. There's a single Armillaria bulbosa in Michigan that weighs more than 10 tons and stretches across almost 40 acres of land. It's so big that it has a nickname, the humongous fungus. Wow, that is a big fungus. And there they are in the fungi forest. "They're doing what microbes do best, Phoebe," Miss Frizzle said, "eating and reproducing." "You mean these fungi are chowing down on Keisha's bread?" asked Ralphie. Miss Frizzle gave a contented nod. "Isn't it amazing? Most microbes, such as fungi and bacteria, can't make their own food. They get their food from other animals or plants, like the wheat in Keisha's bread. And when they eat, big changes take place." "Ugh, you mean sloppy changes," I said. My boots had started sinking into the soggy part of my sandwich. My bread was rotting. Eating with Enzymes by Ralphie. Fungi and bacteria produce substances called enzymes that help them eat. Enzymes break down food into simpler materials that the microbes can absorb. So, these fungi are changing Keisha's bread by making it rot so that they can use it for food, Tim said. "Precisely," the Frizz told him. I was still trying to keep my balance on that slippery stuff, but I got the picture. Rotting food was good for microbes, and bad, bad luck for me. How did so many fungi get here so fast? I asked. My mom just made this bread last weekend. I didn't see a bit of mold until today. Look up, said the Frizz. When we did, we saw dozens of bluish-green balls attached to the top of each fungus. Those are spores, Miss Frizzle explained. The Scoop on Spores by Keisha. Ever wonder what makes bread molds so fuzzy and colorful? Spores do. Bread molds can be black, blue, green, or pink, depending on the color of the spores. Spores are like seeds. They're carried to new places by the wind or by animals, and new fungi grow from them, the Frizz explained. So, with the help of spores, each fungus produces dozens of new fungi, Wanda said. These microbes sure know how to get around. They work fast, too, D.A. said, looking at her book. Some microbes can double their numbers in less than 10 minutes. Whoa, no wonder there's a lot more than just one fungus among us, Carlos joked. More Microbes by Tim. Different microbes have different ways of reproducing. Fungi make spores, yeast cells form buds that develop into new yeast cells, and bacteria simply split in two. I did some math in my head. Wait a minute. If microbes reproduce that fast, wouldn't they totally overrun everything? I asked. They would, if conditions for growth were perfect, said Miss Frizzle. But if their food runs out, or if it gets too crowded, or too hot, or too cold, then microbes start to die out. Phoebe took a look in D.A.'s book. Well, according to this, lots of packaged foods like hot dogs and rolls contain preservatives that slow down the growth of microbes and keep the food from spoiling, she said. But homemade foods like your mom's bread don't have preservatives. Where Do Microbes Live by Arnold. Most microbes grow best where it's moist and dark. They don't like it too hot or too cold. That's why we refrigerate some foods. The cold air inside the refrigerator slows down the microbes. But microbes do like it sweet. Sugar helps microbes to reproduce faster. Substances with acid in them, like lemon juice and vinegar used for pickling vegetables, make it harder for the microbes to grow. So that's why it's a moldy mess, I said. All of a sudden, everything started shaking. Whoa! I grabbed at the tubular stalks of fungi to keep from falling. Earthquake! Arnold cried. Relax. It's just the 4th grade kids cleaning up, said Tim. The 4th graders in our school had started a compost heap and a recycling program. They towered over us as they collected trash and food scraps from the playground. We were so tiny, they looked like skyscrapers. No, bigger, like huge mountains. Every time one of the kids took a step, the ground trembled like crazy. I never knew exploring microbes would be such a shaky experience, Ralphie said. Don't look now, but this could become a squishy experience soon, said Phoebe. Phoebe pointed toward a 4th grade girl who was walking toward us. The girl wore gloves and was busy dropping D.A.'s orange peel into her bag of food scraps. She didn't seem to notice my sandwich lying on the ground in front of her, with all of us on it. We could see her enormous foot coming toward us. Our luck's running out, guys, I cried. The magic school bus is about to be turned into the magic pancake. And I think we're going to go ahead and stop there for today, because that brings us to the end of a chapter. So we'll be picking up with Chapter 3 tomorrow at 2 p.m. So thanks so much for tuning in, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Of course, be sure to check out our other live programs that we have going on. There's Toddler Time with Miss Becky, Stories with Sunny with Miss Sunny, and of course there's Creating with Constance. She does some really cool stuff on there. So be sure to check those out, and also remember to check out our digital resources that we have. Hoopla, Overdrive, RB Digital, all of those things where you can still get library materials digitally. And we'll see you tomorrow, guys. Thanks for tuning in.